Hello everyone, welcome back to FPL Jedi Show. This is the preview of Game Week 35. My name is Hafiz and would like to welcome Azmin to the stream. How are you after the end of Game Week 34?
A bit anticlimactic for my, again, disappointed, by not captaining Bruno Fernandes, but otherwise it's okay. Decent week for free hit. Went against popular theory for a fair bit, and some of it paid off nicely. All in all, a good week for me.
Yeah, a good week for you, but not good week for me. Most free hit team, I can see in the community quite suffering in terms of results, especially if you're going for the template or some differential. But if you're not going for any like Forest asset like Ego Jesus is our poster boy for this game week, probably you have like lane week, or you're captaining someone like Bowen, who you might probably if let's say you keep your armband to Bowen, it will be a better week than what you expected.
Yep.
Because you actually change your captain armband at the very last minute, right?
Yeah, it was a very FOMO kind of thing. If based on Bowen blanking, then worrying for 2 days about Bruno Fernandes and nothing to do, being helpless. Figured that if I captain Thiago, at least he's playing at the same time as Bruno. But the Thiago was so frustrating. He could have scored, and the commentator kept saying it by the sets halfway to the second half. If he had taken his chances, he could have scored a hat trick. So very, very annoying. But it just wasn't his day to score.
All right. We gonna take a look at our team perform last week. But I think the most important thing that we want to mention, later we'll touch in more depth, is the double game week has been confirmed, which is for the game week 36, where City and Palace will double. Means that they close off the potential complication in terms of, because City actually appealed to FA to move some of the fixture, and probably Bournemouth could double game week in 36 instead of Palace, and the Palace will play in 37 and double game. That would be more complex if I say that happened, but this is what it meant to be, a simple one. Palace team and also City fixture that have been suspended after the Carabao Cup final, they will play in 36, man. So this is what we expect, right?
Yeah, so it was a really dangerous. It would have set a very dangerous precedent if the FA had caved in to City and allowed them what they wanted, because then, everything, every competition from then, next week on, the next season onwards would suddenly wonder if people appeal, and then if they don't get it, then they'll claim unfair. So it was good, it made sense for FA to deny it, and on the fantasy side, that's it. So no more guesswork needed. Everyone, all the fixtures, the rest of the fixtures are all there, all set in stone. So now you just got to plan your transfers to optimize the fixtures.
All right, and then we'll take a look at, since we already know all the fixture, we'll touch on who has something left to play for this season and the team to focus for the next, because we left only with 4 game weeks for this season. You mentioned about that during our offline, and then really it's going to be the last 4 game weeks, and we have to focus week by week and just try to take advantage of each week wherever be possible. Okay, this is how we perform in game week 34. We both of us free hitting. I scored 49 points. You scored 59 points, 10 points more than my team. The average in game week 34 was 36 points. But that not deter in terms of I'm getting the red arrow and yourself getting the green arrow. So I fall from 32k, drop to 44k, 12k drop in terms of rank. But I hope I can recover for the next 4 game weeks, because I went for a different pick where everyone going for Raya combo, Raya and Gabriel. I actually went for Robs, and my prediction was Sunderland gonna make it big against Forest at home, but it turns out disastrous for Sunderland. They lost 5-0 at home, and can you imagine at the first half, Forest got 4 goals, and if you own like Morgan Gibbs, like Azmin owned, he scored 30 points, a big one. Not many went there for sure. Ego Jesus lagi lah, right? Not everyone also. It's not in the usual forward lineup that people will have. But Morgan Gibbs White, some of it did feature. So kudos to you, Min, because you have Morgan Gibbs White. I'll touch on your team later. But for my team, Royce with nothing, 0 points instead of 10 points. If you're going went for Raya, I got 0 points. So then that's why is it. Could it be worse? Probably if let's say Sunderland, but Royce could get a save point, 1 point, if he got another save, but it turns out not to be. Virgil van Dijk, Liverpool concede, but Virgil, as we expected, DC points there, so 4 points. Gabriel, Arsenal kept a clean sheet. I do believe it's 2 bonus points for Gabriel. Pedro Porro, I think 1.9 points, right? But it ended up with 8 points, a clean sheet, and I suppose 2 bonus points. So I guess that yes, really tempted. PVD, Gabriel, and Pedro Porro last game with free hitting. Other than that, Mo Salah, disappointing because he went off early prior to that 60 minutes and injured himself, got only 1 point. Bruno, being Bruno, we know, fantasy and assist there, so get 5 points. So your captain here got 10 points. Wilson Blank, Fulham kept a clean sheet, but Wilson yellow carded, so only 2 points. Declan Rice 2 points. Gakpo also 2 points. All 2 points there, Watkins, but only Bowen. If you have Bowen, 10 points, which pretty much everyone going to have him in the free hit team. So 49 points, still okay, decent, but it's not decent enough in terms of getting me a green arrow. How about your team, man? You on mute?
I had the West Ham defensive double up in Hermanson and Mavropanos. Unfortunately, they conceded in the 89th minute or something to my favorite of mine, KDH, deciding to score. I removed him from my free hit team. Oh, so sad. Yeah, but Mavropanos still got the DEFCON, and Gabriel got the 2 bonus. Munoz was my off-field pick. Yeah, on hindsight, it looks okay, but then Pedro. Those who had Pedro Porro, of course, win because he got a clean sheet and bonus points. Munoz, thanks to his fluke goal, assisted by Sa, who I also had. So, as we mentioned, that I chickened out on having Liverpool and decided that Palace would do better. So no, it was what I thought was wrong. Because Liverpool did win, but the players that expected to get the points, like Salah, maybe. Zoboslai didn't pan out, but Isaac and Woods scored goals there. So, but not many people have them. And Isaac, we still try to figure out whether he'll just go on a roll from now on. But then looks good for Isaac. He did score, and he might be sharp and something to consider. So Sa assisted Munoz goal, and when I saw Munoz goal, I didn't even notice that was Sa who assisted until Hafiz told me. Bruno Fernandes, we both had. Gibbs White, as mentioned, great start to the week when I woke up on Saturday morning and saw that, oh, that's nice. Oh, wow, 5-0, that's bad. Of course, Watkins and Bowen, I also had, but Thiago, who was my rogue captaincy pick, but it didn't pay off. But fortunately, I wasn't punished that badly because Fernandes only got 1 assist and nothing extra. So my bench was got a very frustrating Anderson there, 11 points. Yeah, so I really thought that Fulham were going to go on their standard. If you look at the stats from the past 5 years, Fulham around this time they actually have a sort of malaise and just slack off and just meander towards the end of the season in a mediocre manner. But somehow they pulled off a win 1-0 against Villa, who I know there's a question: did Villa not play into the full strength because they have an eye on Europe. I don't know, but Europe, there wasn't any Europe match. Sorry. Yeah. So there's the Europe match is tonight, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
This week
So
and
that's why.
the next week.
So is that the reason? And if that is the reason, you'd wonder if the decisions that we make to this weekend will may also need to consider that we and so yeah, I ended up with 59 points. It was a good decent week. Just frustrated with the West Ham losing the clean sheet late, and of course Wilson, who I thought if Fulham were going to win, Wilson needs to usually part of it. It's not in this case. So Thiago, I was mentioning to Hafiz that very frustrating. If you watch the match, he could have, commentators saying he could have had a hat trick, but in that. But wasn't to be. But 59 points, still good, and I'll take it.
Yep, great stuff. I think because you're bold enough to pick the Crystal Palace players over Liverpool players, so you've been rewarded there. Because Munoz got that goal, right? 6 points, I believe there, and Sa also get that fantasy assist from the Munoz goal, which is 5 points. So well done, and Morgan gets right, which he is never in my mind for sure. Despite we know he's on a hat trick prior to that the GAMEWEEK 34. It's on everyone radar, but not everyone thinks that Forest could get something at home against Sunderland, who has been great at home, especially at Stadium of Light. But you went for Gibbs right, which is great.
Yeah, but that's why I got the contrast. You got Fulham against Villa, also at home, and Villa, look from the looks of it, they have one eye on Europe. On the other hand, you have Forest against Sunderland. Forest also are playing Villa, but the extra argument for Forest is, of course, the relegation battle. So technically speaking, they're not yet. Mathematically, they're not yet out of the woods, so there was a good motivation. But I totally didn't expect a 5-0 result. That's totally weird.
Since we are on that topic, maybe quickly on the result in GAMEWEEK 34. Probably, if let's say that we can just mention here, if you went for the Arsenal assets, Raya get 10 points. Hincapi, not everyone will have him, but Gabriel is like 9 points. So there's a lot of Forest player here. Aina 9 points. We have Gibbs White 13. We got Ego Jesus at 14 points. If you went for West Ham, win 2-1 against Everton. Bowen got 10. Suchet also got 10. You did mention about Fulham. Sessionio got that goal. 11 points there. Anderson keeping a clean sheet. And I suppose there's a big DC points and bonus point there. So 11 points there, which is nice. I think if they say you have not wildcard, probably you have Anderson. You played him in this GAMEWEEK 34. So I think Gianni, who has not wildcarded, he got that 11 points for Anderson because he just simply need to play the players that he has in the team. At least there is one Liverpool player, but this is not in everyone because I think McAllister get a bench last week and Gravenberch start. But this game week against Palace, Gravenberch the bench and McAllister start. So that's so nobody going to go for McAllister, but he actually got I think 2 assists from this game week. So that's why he got that 13 points. Words is actually the final goal, right? Liverpool 3-1 against Palace. And for the United player is Casemiro again pop up with a goal and 12 points here. But still, nobody going to go for him. He's owned by only 6% manager. I'm not sure if let's say for the last 4 game weeks, we believe that United is the team that Casemiro should be in our radar. That's all I can say. So means these are team of the week. What's your say?
Yeah, you're right about Casemiro. It's gonna be hard to justify picking him up. Although we are down to the last 4 game weeks, and bearing in mind United isn't involved anywhere else. So, and Casemiro is at the end of the season contract with United. So there might be motivation there if you feel like taking a punt. But Raya, we both got burnt, and I really thought that Newcastle would put up a better fight against Arsenal and find a way through. It was one of those matches where I'm sure a lot of City fans or anti-Arsenal fans will be hoping that they would have dropped points, but Arsenal held off and did well. So well done them. McAllister scoring as well, and Sessegnon. These are not your typical FPL players. I guess that's the thing. And of course, Susek, who's turning out to be a cult hero for West Ham. So yeah, well done there. So yeah, Ego Jesus again, another one who we don't really look at as a pick. And even though Forest have 150. I don't know if you got any data on transfer traffic, but I still don't see Forest being picked up simply because they because of their Europe commitments. But the counter argument to that is, of course, that they are still fighting for survival, and they're not safe yet. Sure, West Ham and Spurs are the ones in the dogfight, but if West Ham win the next one, which is against Brentford, and Spurs win the next one, Forest can't afford to lose because it's still too close. But it's there's some nice picks here if you want to get into it, because players like Casemiro are ever present. Ego Jesus ever present. Aina now ever present. Hinkapi, I'm not so sure with because Arsenal are still in the Champions League, so I'm not sure how Arteta's gonna move that around. But yeah, even like Sessegnon, if you want to risk that, yeah, he's ever present. But of course, we all have Wilson or no one where when it comes to Fulham attackers. So yeah, it's hard to us, and considering we still have an eye on those double game players. If you want to pick up Palace, then these are not other players that you would prioritize getting. But
so can I touch one team that we have not really mentioned is Spurs. They managed to at least salvage one goal against Wolves. People are expecting like they'll have a Solanke or Xavi, right? Those who are the most transferred in terms of Spurs player last game week. Both blank. Solanke, I think, injured early. He only ended up with 1 point, and Xavi Simons are declared out for the rest of the season after the injury. Just after that 60 minutes, so he got 3 points. So he at least scored one better point than the likes of Wilson, Gakpo, whoever that you have 2 points there in midfield. So at least that's the merit. But with those absent, I'm not sure about Solanke. Is becoming dire in terms of team Spurs, right? You just need I'm not sure what's the best pick anymore for the Spurs asset. Probably Richardson could come in for Solanke in case he's injured. Palinia did score the goal, but he coming off the bench. Whether you can trust him, I'm not sure. But what do you think mean about Spurs?
About Spurs, you see, that's the thing. If you remember last week, I was very negative about Spurs. I really did, and then I never even considered putting them in my free hit draft. On hindsight, it was wrong because the defense, it was a clean sheet. Yeah, but I just did not like the idea, and of course, I never predicted that the key main threats, Solanke and Xavi Simons, will both get knocked out of the picture. But it's a similar situation with Salah, I guess. So, and I'm still not keen on Spurs, and I'll definitely will avoid. If you did a free hit thing, fine, but I wouldn't pick them up because the squad is so ravaged that there's an issue of continuity, strategy of players trying to familiarize yourself as other players come in. It's just so disrupted and not consistent. And I was telling a couple of my friends who are Spurs fans that you know, if all these injuries coming up, there's definitely some. We need to look back at, you know, the training methods, or, you know, whatever they're doing, you know, because it can't be that so many people getting injured. It's not just a case of bad luck. There must be some factor that's causing these injuries to happen of so much to the Spurs, and it's so dangerous that it could cause the, you know, cause relegation. You know, this is at risk of relegation, and you, it is partly due to all these injuries, because they, you know, as even as players, good players come back, but because they, you know, have to get used to the other players who are changing and chopping because of injuries, and that's why they can't string a win. So well done on the 1-0 win. Were you watching during this time?
Okay, that game, I think I watched Liverpool game more because I think West Ham, Everton and Spurs playing at the same time.
Yeah, so it's so funny because first West Ham scored, right, and then you can see the Spurs players drop, because, you know, the Spurs fans were watching. They got the update of the score, you know, and then suddenly Spurs won. You know, Everton scored and Spurs scored. So it's like Spurs going up would go up above West Ham, and then Spurs, you know, the audience was so happy, and it was like, and then suddenly West Ham scored again. So yeah, that's that's the ticket. That's the roller coaster of Spurs fans when it comes to football. But you're right. Just now you mentioned Richarlison. Definitely Richarlison will start. They don't have any other person who can be up front, and we know Richarlison has the hunger. And I did try him a few weeks back, if you remember, but, you know, it didn't come off. And now I don't know whether the new manager is able to do anything. Zobi, RDZ. Yeah, and yeah, it's gonna be. I still wouldn't go for any Spurs players.
Right, we touch on the team later, but let's see, Min, what's in store for the next 4 game weeks. At least we know the Double Gameweek 36 announcements. This is from BenCrellin Planner in terms of FPL planning. So here we have game week 35, single game week, and then we know on game week 36, Crystal Palace will play double, which is at home against Everton, then away to City. And for City, they play both at home, which is at Brentford and Crystal Palace. Really nice. If someone thinking of activating triple captainship, so like yourself, Min, you still left with triple captainship, and this could be the opportunity that everyone will target in terms of activating that chip. Another option that people can also or people are exploring doing right now is, if you haven't wildcard yet, this is the game week 35 that you're going to do that, and then you will, if you still have your bench boost left, that 36 could offer some value in terms of getting assets from Crystal Palace, especially with the cheap player, the likes of Riches or Sa and inferiority. But the tricky part will be that they are still still in the Europe mix, because the European competition is happening right now, and the midweek between 35 and 36. So probably that will happen unless they are prioritizing the cup competition, the Euro competition instead of the league. And then left with 37 and 38. This is the perspective for the last 4 game weeks, Min. So, yeah, you wanna... Oh, Azmin miss out there. So, I think this is the key fixtures that they target for the double game week. Min, yeah, 36 Palace and City double.
Yeah, so just now my screen froze just now, so I came back in. Okay, so I while preparing for tonight's show, I did a bit of reading and then looked at a few, listened to a few videos in terms of people's opinions about City and Crystal Palace, and the threat of rotation. So this is a problem with Crystal Palace. Has the double week, because Crystal Palace also have their conference match happening as well. So the question is, how are they going to field the players? So the thing is, for this week, definitely it's a no-go. It's just too hard to decide unless no, even unless tonight Crystal Palace whack their Europe opponents by 6 goals or something, then you feel a bit more secure playing, picking up Crystal players. The thing is, we have seen Glasner rotate the likes of Sa and Mateta before, before Europe match. So that's where the problem is. So if, like the Arsenal match, it ends up with a draw, then you definitely want to avoid picking up Crystal Palace in game week 35 and hold off at least until game week 36. If Crystal Palace do proceed to the finals, and I think many are predicting that they will because they are kind of favourites, then it becomes very hard to try to figure out which player will start for that Everton and City match. Okay, so I think, and the more frustrating thing about this situation for Palace is that they play Manchester City and Arsenal towards the end. Both the 2 title contenders they will play. So if, let's say, Crystal Palace field a very weak team against City, Arsenal are going to cry foul, So Arsenal are going to get very, very, pretty, blah, 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 unfair, ethical, not ethical, and they'll make a lot of sound in the expectation come the game week 38 where Crystal Palace then play Arsenal. Yeah, and then they play, and then suddenly Crystal Palace play a strong team. So the situation that Palace are in is not very fun. Yeah, but I think Glasner will still want to try to field strong squads because, he is at the end of his tenure, and I don't think he wants to leave with a sour taste. Even if he wins the Conference League, but he would still want to, put up enough of a fight to not just give the title away. Yeah, but because of that, it becomes hard. So the best way to pick Crystal Palace is if they end up losing in Europe after game week 35, then you can consider for the double game week. Otherwise, it's too hard for us. But City, most people, especially those who ended up bench boosting previously, and if you have free hitted last week, you would still have a triple up of your City players. So most likely you will keep. But there's some discussion as well if you want to do some sideways change as well. Yeah, but City, by contrast, in terms of fixtures, they do have Villa, who probably already in the Champions League, but maybe in the finals for the Europa League. So but other than that, it's plain sailing for them. Yeah, and City are motivated.
Yeah, I think the logic thing, pretty much people will jump into that City asset. Whoever wildcard in 32 like myself did that. And if let's say you have not had 3 City players, I think that will be your first main target to fulfill that. And then then you decide in terms of Crystal Palace if you feel that you want to go in there with 1, 2, or even 3 players if you like Azmin mentioned, pro and cons to getting that Crystal Palace here. For myself, my thinking right now, probably 1, max 2. I don't think I will go 3, but I think more logic 1. But I will not rule out if let's say I'm thinking because we need to juggle with the free transfer that we have. Is really tight because not everyone had the luxury like 5 free transfer or 2, 3, 4, 5 free transfer. Probably like some managers that only have 1 or 2. So you probably need to prioritize also the 37, 38, especially 38, because at the 38 you're not sure what's the condition. I'm sure whether City and Arsenal still neck on neck, then that game really crucial, and it will be that more reason to get those players if you have not maxed out. Also the European competition. Later we look at who's in fight for that, and also relegation better if they're still in the mix. So I think that's my first name. But if let's say your wildcard this game with 35, which we have a draft that we can take a look, probably they will try to mess out 3 players or minimum 2 players. That's what I'm thinking. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, pretty much. City the triple up. I'm just looking at the other matches, like because and other players being touted are for Villa, for example, because they play Spurs and Burnley. It's short term because after that they play Liverpool and City. But on the basis of what happened against, I don't know, them losing, I don't think they expected to lose against Fulham. So it becomes a must win. Just now you mentioned about some people have the luxury if they have transfers, but those who don't, you have 2 transfers, right, Hafiz?
I had 3 free transfer, but we still need to be calculative in terms of you just cannot throw in your transfer just like that, because you still have to manage for the next 3 game weeks.
Betul. So this management bit, and there's still injuries going on, and there will be an issue with some injuries. If you look, for example, Chelsea, you got Forest, Liverpool, Spurs, and Sunderland. Chelsea are under new management, but the question with Chelsea is for Palmer, for example, because a lot of people wildcarded him in for the double game only for him to blank. Will he get his form back? Is it worth it? And at the same time, you have players like Saka, who's probably chasing for the title, and might want to go all out. So it's tough. It's tough, and I think. But for those who have more transfers, they can plan a bit better. And for the double game week, they can wait. Or save some transfers to prepare for the end of season that you just now you mentioned, game week 38, where a lot of things will be up in the air. There may be some, I don't know how many European spots will be settled by then. And how many on the beach, because we were talking about, I honestly thought Fulham might be going on the beach only for them to pull off a win. So there are 2 teams that look like they're on the beach right now. One is Sunderland, who maybe they're not used to, they're just surprised that they're safe, or more or less safe. So they've slacked off a bit, I don't know. And the other team, which is Newcastle, who have lost 4 games in a row. And theoretically, when you look at the games, they did look like they were still playing well and just gotten unlucky. But you can't deny the form issues, and makes you wonder whether these players are worth picking up. So you do have to be at the beach issue is something we do have to consider and decide. And at the same time, I didn't think that late in the season we would still have managerial changes. Your Chelsea, of course, is one of them, changed, and then now Scott Parker this week announced that has been announced that he's left, and some guy I don't know by the name of Michael Jackson has taken over. So still only a few weeks left. What will they do? Are they going to upset the apple cart? But I can't see this late into the season where they'll be able to make any much difference to the game, actually.
Since you're on that topic, let's jump to what's left to play. I think we can see there are 3 segments that we can see. The Premier League title for sure, because Arsenal and City are neck on neck. I think goal difference, like they are equal, or maybe City 1 goal more than Arsenal, but they are really tight. So you can see there, Arsenal and City are probably they will go until the last game week. They will play, so they have motivation. So Arsenal and City easily, you're thinking, if you don't want to overthink, this City and Arsenal you need to target. and we shall see whether that's the case, because Arsenal is still in the Champions League competition, but City also, I think I can touch, they also in the FA Cup final, and you know they will need to play somewhere in that game week 37, 38 punya week with sandwich with that Crystal Palace game. They need to play the last 4 game weeks in 11 days, 4 game in 11 days. So there's not a lot of recovery period. Potentially, could there be any rotation? Probably, but you will stick to the usual guns, the likes of Haaland, Semenyo, Cherki, Riley, Gehi. I think those players that what people will look at. The second one on the right box is the European qualification. Like as I mentioned, in terms of potentially, there are 10 teams who could actually qualify for this European competition, Champions League or Europa League or even Conference League, still up in the air. So with that case, and potentially, if they say pan out like Villa end up at 5th place and win the Europa League, potentially number 6 place too, they are going for the Champions League spot. So you know, with this uncertainty, people will play till the end, and you can see that 6 to 11, 12 place to an extent, they are really close and potentially can get to 6th place. So Brighton, Bournemouth, the Chelsea, even the Brentford and Fulham, like I mentioned, probably Everton and Sunderland, you can put that into the mix. They still have something to play. And the next 4 game weeks will be critical. That 12 points could change how your league position will be. So this could be the team that not on the pitch and they have something to play. And the last but not least, the relegation battle. Like that, the Newcastle, Leeds, Forest, West Ham and Spurs. I think the most crucial one will be West Ham and Tottenham, Spurs, so that they are like 2 points gap away. Forest and Leeds probably, and also Newcastle probably safe after this game week if they say they get some points on the board. But I could say that West Ham and Spurs could potentially play until the end of the season. If you're thinking about the likes of Bowen, Spurs, I don't know, Pedro Porro, Richarlison could be an option even. So I think there are still a lot of teams left to play, not so many teams on the beach after we are looking at this conundrum. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look at the relegation battle. You know, the fun thing about the relegation battle is when you look at, there's no team that has totally terrible matchups. Yeah, so West Ham has Arsenal, but that's about it, you know. And you could argue Forest have United, but United, I wouldn't say United is a superpower at the moment. But yeah, then they have Chelsea. Not also there are teams with Chelsea, so also not much of an issue. It is It's still a winnable game. Yeah. So looking at Leeds, because Leeds are one of the teams who definitely have looked better towards the end of the season. They've slowly collected points and came out of the relegation zone. And at 40, it's funny because we normally look at 40 as the safe model, but then because we have 2 teams which were really bad, Wolves and Burnley, and everyone else is not far away. So 40 isn't safe. No, it's not. So they still need to fight and they still need to win and hope that the teams below them don't win either. So the thing with the relegation battle, aside from Forest, is that Leeds, West Ham, Spurs, and Newcastle are unlikely to have any threat or rotation. But you wouldn't go for Newcastle simply because they've lost 4 in a row. Who knows what Eddie Howe will try to salvage and mix up the team. But Leeds, who've won games recently, who have a better record. You see West Ham, who've won games recently, and Spurs, unfortunately, has to change due to injuries. But if you have people like Pedro Porro and Richarlison, you could argue they're a fix. No way that they're going to change that. So at least you have that. Whereas for in terms of security of starts, but for European qualification, that is a bit of a challenge. You could argue that they'll be safe as well, except maybe Chelsea, who are also in the FA Cup final. So that's going to be a question there. But Chelsea's form has been horrible. But then they now have under new management, and they under the new manager they did win their FA Cup tie against Leeds. So you would think there wouldn't be any issue of rotation. Arsenal are very interesting because they come off a 1-1 draw against Atletico. So what are they going to do? It's quite interesting. During the Atletico match, Saka was on the bench.
He came on for Maduti.
Yeah, he came on. So and then it was Gyökeres because Havertz is injured already. And then Martinelli also got injured as well. So I don't know what how Arsenal are going to look at that Fulham game, because theoretically West Ham Burnley look like they're going to be, should not be a problem. But Fulham have upset the upper card. They did upset the Villa recently. So of course Fulham will be playing, but in this case they are at Emirates. So maybe it might not be a big problem, but Arsenal can't afford to relax too much. And with the Champions League also in the draw, I don't know what they're going to do. Will Saka start? Is Saka good enough to start?
For this game week, right? Okay.
For this game week, yeah, because it's a nice risk to do. Saka at home, playing us, make sure he plays so that if he can do well, then he'll be ready to fight for the Champions League semi-finals as well. Yeah.
I think Arteta also cannot split his team, right? He just need to go for both competition, because you just don't know, right? Fulham is the next game. You just need to focus there and play your best team wherever possible. I think most likely that if they see want to go more on the defense instead of the attackers, because we just don't know who's going to turn up. Gyökeres did score against Atletico Madrid, but then sub out for Gabriel Jesus at the 70th minute. Could Jesus start? Possibly. So you can't predict if let's say Arteta want to rotate, right? Eze also come on for Odegaard. So Eze and Saka come on for Odegaard and Maduti. And then Rice play the whole 90 minutes. So probably he'll play again 90 minutes against Fulham. Probably that will happen.
Yeah, but that's not great though for Rice, But to be fair, Rice's record has been poor, and he looks like he's playing further back. Eze is the interesting option. You think that they won 1-0 last time out in the league, against Newcastle. Is Eze locked in that left-hand spot now that Martinelli is injured? You could argue that it's a rotation-free spot. We'll ask, but there was a criticism of Arsenal against of Eze. He was still doing stepovers unnecessarily in his last game, and wondering, does he not realize what's going on, how important these games are? I don't know. It's a question. But given that Arsenal may have to field Eze because Martinelli is injured and Trossard's not there, so Eze could be a pick, could be the pick to have. City, on the other hand, just are a bit more settled because they don't have the rotation. They do have an extra game to play. I guess the question with City is, who's the best? You got Haaland, Otto. Then there's an ongoing debate of Semenyo versus Cherki, or both. But with O'Reilly seemingly in almost looks like a must-have. I don't have him either. Then for Semenyo and Cherki, you have to choose one or the other.
Yep.
And this is the debate that's been occupying quite a bit of Twitter feeds, and I think a couple of content creator posts as well. Would you do, if you had Semenyo, would you do a sideways moves to Cherki? Because I don't have the stats here, but based on the stats that was explained and stuff, so Cherki's stats definitely look better in the past few weeks. And Semenyo, when Semenyo came in January, he was playing more nearer to Haaland, but we've seen in the past few weeks that he's now shunted back to wide, and instead it's now Cherki who's been playing nearer to Haaland, and hence the boost in points. And the nice thing with Turkey is, especially if more than one transfer available, you have some funds to spare. You can downgrade Semenyo to Turkey and you have some money to reallocate elsewhere.
Since you talk about that, let's take a quick look in terms of wildcard draft, because people are looking at that also this week. I think what will people do, like we mentioned, triple up on City. And if let's say, I think I would agree, if I'm wildcarding this game with 35, I will not go for Semenyo and save that money and go for Turkey and invest somewhere. So here, I like, because you can take advantage and fill out those Arsenal defense. They could keep for the next 4 game weeks clean sheet because they have favorable fixture like we saw just now. So Raya and Gabriel could be the one that people will go, and then O'Reilly. And then you could also slot in some Crystal Palace asset here, like Lacroix. There are only one Crystal Palace player inside here, but you could easily go for Richards if you don't have money, and you could actually take a punt for Sa in midfield instead of here have Tavernier. This draft have cheap players like Hill and Strach as your defense, and probably you can rotate depending on the fixture for the next 4 game weeks. But this game week, you have to have that Leeds player because they are playing Burnley at home and they really want points to secure their Premier League status. So strike in here, in midfield, Tavernier, Bruno Fernandes with Palmer as the Chelsea assets because they are in the European competition. Turkey, João Pedro, Haaland and DCL. And then to an extent, there is KDH on bench at 5.1 right now in midfield. I think I like that option. And then you go Dalo. But if they say you have Dalo, probably you want to play him because he's actually have a good feature anyway this game week. But this is an opportunity for you to get that Arsenal players. I think I will do that. Some changes that can happen if you don't like Palmer. Probably if we wait for that team news on Friday, if they say McFarlane mentioned about Palmer might not be fit or they will have like late test, probably Palmer might not make it on the wildcard team because his price is not worthy in terms of how he returns. João Pedro is another one. Probably you go for Thiago. That can be an option. But DCL is just nice entry point for this wildcard team. So I think this is the draft. What would you make changes if you're wildcarding?
Yeah, because it's a wild card, I'm quite envious at those who actually have a wild card to play with. O'Reilly, Turkey, and Haaland does seem to be the most popular option. If you go against it, it is a gamble in a sense. So the safe play is O'Reilly, Turkey. So the options to gamble is, of course, if it's not or Turkey, it'll be Semenyo. There's really no other midfield option. And if it's not O'Reilly, it's Guehi. Yeah, so that's the alternate, isn't it? And surprisingly, I'm the one with Semenyo and Guehi together with Haaland, which I brought in after for game week 33. So other than that, the Leeds one is a game, of course. Technically, you are playing against a new Burnley with a new interim manager. You never know if there's a manager bounce on the cards, but unlikely because Leeds are together. They're looking decent. They didn't win last time. I think they drew before the game before the week before they blanked. But DCL himself hasn't been in great form. But against Burnley, surely he's got to crack that. Pedro has looked more sharp than Palmer. So that's the thing. So, but it's hard to spend. So wildcard 35, if you want someone safe, someone like Rice, who will definitely play everything, but then it looks like his productivity has dropped. I don't know if you were. It's It's very, very hard. And then you can see why Tavernier is a decent pick, because Bournemouth, of course, still chasing for Europe. Crystal Palace might be distracted by their play because they are currently playing Europe. But there are other options. Like in the forward striker, just now you mentioned Thiago. Brentford are playing West Ham, who are fighting for survival and have been quite good recently in frustrating the opponents. We saw that in the Everton game. But Thiago has that magic. He is still the second highest scoring striker after Haaland. After last week, it's probably unlikely he'll get the Golden Boot, but I think he might continue to try. So,
but I think Brentford still have something to play this season, right? So I think they'll go out
also
and
have to play
if let's
for
say
Europe.
you want a Brentford player, I think Thiago will be on your team sheet first.
Let's see if Leeds win this match, but then Spurs and West Ham lose. Then Leeds are almost effectively relaxed.
I can agree on that.
And given that this is a wild card, then you start to wonder: is there risk at keeping these? Will DCL or Strike continue to start the game, or will they suddenly start experimenting game week 37? So that's something you have to take.
But but I think maybe another option you can go if you don't want you go the, can I say template, because you can go Haaland, Thiago and Bowen, because they have something to play until the end, right? They are decent, they are talisman, they are on penalty. So
and they are in form. Okay, Thiago's not as much, but then he's still the second best striker in league.
Yep.
And Bowen is the one who's in form, he's with double assists, although not goals, but he's still getting points.
Yep.
That is theoretically the more templatey in that sense. The thing is, because I don't know if a lot of people still have the likes of Thiago, for example. I don't know, but I don't like Tavernier there, but I get it why because he's cheap and he has many routes to points, so that's the advantage there. I'm just trying to think of any other suitable options there in that wild card.
Would you go for at least 2 Palace segment? I think there's some draft that go for like Lacroix and Richards.
Yeah,
or Henderson, right?
Henderson looks like, because he's been playing both in the league as well as Europe. So you would argue that Henderson's the most safest pick, at least in terms of starting. But whether you'll get the points, I don't know. That's Crystal Palace are known to be defensively quite decent. But they did lose 2-1 against Liverpool recently, although to be fair, Liverpool are finding their vibe again. But this draft also, so you're arguing about having more than one Crystal Palace. Right now, you don't have a single one, and I think it is viable actually. I think you can risk it. Other than Henderson, Lacroix, of course, looks like he's an ever-present. If you look at play, he plays in Europe as well as in the league. So then a case between Munoz, Sarr, and Mateta, the 3 most popular FPL assets for Palace is concerned. And it's dangerous lah. Okay, it's very dangerous. I wouldn't pick them now, because if you're going to wildcard 35, I'd forget about them, because I did mention just now, hold off until you see the results of Europe and then look at it for game week 36. So definitely I wouldn't put Palace in here. I just want to bone pick that you got KDH right at the bottom, at the right side of the bench there. I think he should be on the first part of the bench.
Okay.
Because we've seen KDH can score even against
in any game. I have another draft that if let's say you still have bench post, so I think this kind of like an option too. Similar to that, I think this team a bit different, man, because I think I kind of like it. He's going for triple Arsenal assets there and 2 Palace player on the bench, where you could bench boost in 35. I just walked through this team. Dalot in goal, and then he has Henderson on the bench. Gabriel, Eze, and Gyökeres as the triple Arsenal assets. Go all in for Arsenal because they're going to play until the end. O'Reilly, Chucky, and Haaland, I think that's what people are going there. Bruno Fernandes is staple, and Bowen. Or if you don't like Bowen, you can have Thiago there because I think their price similar. And then go cheap with Justin and Okafor. Okay, because you want to take advantage of that Burnley game. Leeds United, right? They will need to win and probably they keep the clean sheet, right? And Okafor really on form right now. So triple Leeds United assets there, which is nice. KDH, and then you go for Kadioglu because in 36, when you BB, Brighton will play Wolves at home and you want a piece of that, right? And Drewsbury Hall playing away to Crystal Palace, fine, but he could actually. But Henderson and Munoz is interesting on the bench. And with triple up Arsenal, triple up City, and Bowen, who was in form and he has something to play, and double Crystal Palace has set there, I think I like this. What do you think?
Yeah, so you got featuring Gyökeres and Eze, who we talked about a lot. Gyökeres, Hafiz doesn't seem to be a threat, no, so it's more about Jesus coming in. I genuinely like it. The Justin pick is theoretically a pick that hasn't been talked about much because you're talking more about Good Nonsense, Strike, and Biol. Not so much Justin, but yeah, but Justin was the one who ended up scoring a goal 2 weeks ago. Dalot, of course, yeah, it looks great actually. Okafor there's an injury doubt in the injury news yesterday. There was some calf complaint, so it's very frustrating because I have him and he did well for me. So need to track that to see whether that's the case. But yeah, having a Brighton player, it's not a bad idea. I see Dewsbury Hall is strong enough to merit him being on the bench, getting him ready for game week, the future game weeks. But itulah, when it comes to Munoz, that issue of rotation is looming. Yeah, so Brighton. I just don't like Gyökeres there as a pick, to be honest.
Okay, fine.
It's fine.
So probably you could go Gabriel, Rice. Right.
No, if you're going to have Eze, then I think your third, and want to triple up, then your third player should be a Arsenal defender or the goalkeeper or Raya. Yeah. Simply because it's just that we've seen that Arsenal are content. Against Newcastle, score one goal early and that was it. The drive to overwhelm the opponent isn't there. And we've seen this before in quite a few of the games where they were just content to just hang on to the lead and go defensive. Could argue it's a mark of a league-winning team. Just play, just do enough to secure the win. But it's not good for us FPL players. But personally, as much as at the start of the season, I was not so keen on having an Arsenal double defense. At this stage, it does look like that's what they're gonna just try to do.
Yeah.
Score a goal and then hold off, and then maybe score a goal on the break, but protect the clean sheet. Yeah. So Saliba or Raya, most likely Raya lah, would be my and together with Eze would be my triple choice, and not Gyökeres.
I think there's some option that if you're looking at two different teams, you could go double defense. So you're thinking about Arsenal are going all out attack, then Gyökeres could potentially give you differentiation because I don't think people will go there. So if let's say you're chasing, probably this is more fun. In the end, FPL is about fun, right? So you want to have fun. You're an Arsenal fan anyway, so probably you could go like the likes of not going for Rice and go for Eze, which is but things can happen like rotation, so you just need to be aware of it. But I do believe, if let's say wildcard, I think I just repeating myself, you will go Chucky over Semenyo and save money and spend somewhere else.
Yeah, Chucky over Semenyo looks very solid.
All right, good stuff. Let's take a look at the fixture for this game week. We already at our 1 hour mark. Game week 35 fixture.
Sorry.
It will be Friday deadline week. I'm not sure whether we're going to stream it tomorrow. We shall see. But it will be at 1:30 a.m. Malaysian time, the deadline, where Leeds and Burnley are going to play first for this game week, which is nice if you have like triple or double Leeds United game. Whether I'm going to wake up to see this match, we shall see. Because last week, somehow rather I wake up for that Sunderland and Forest and see that Forest destroy Sunderland at home, especially on the first half. Then on Saturday, we have Newcastle versus Brighton. Like we mentioned, Brighton are at 6th place right now. They have something to play in terms of securing European spots. Brentford and West Ham both have different objective. Brentford at the European spot, West Ham are fighting relegation. Better, it is interesting. If you have Thiago or Bowen, wow, it's like Thiago and Bowen punya match, wow, it'll be interesting. Then we have Wolves versus Sunderland. Will be another interesting one. I don't think anybody gonna go any assets here, but could Sunderland salvage back against Wolves for this match? And then we have Arsenal versus Fulham in midnight Saturday, which is nice. Solid game before their Champions League competition. And then we have on Sunday, Bournemouth versus Crystal Palace. And then you have the big one for this game week, which is United versus Liverpool. And then late game, Villa versus Spurs, which is on Sunday or Monday rather.
Sunday night.
Sunday night. And I think this is right? Chelsea and Forest playing on Monday at 10 p.m. Is it? Which is nice that I could watch that game. And then end up with 3 a.m. Everton versus City. Interesting, mate. Some of the matches here, which is nice because there are some who are playing for their life and some playing for the European competition and league titles.
Well, okay. So the reason that Chelsea is playing on that Monday night is because that Monday is the UK bank holiday. So memang cuti, UK cuti. So that's why they have it at the night for that night. Yeah. So other than that, the thing with Sunderland Wolves is that for once there's no real interest because Sunderland have bad matches the rest of the season as well. They can play against United, against Chelsea. I think Everton is one of them. So yeah, even though it's against Wolves, no, we're not going to go for that 1 week punt unless you're free hitting. And even then, Sunderland aren't exactly well known for scoring goals. They're not actually that sort of team. Other than the Newcastle Brighton is interesting, but I do think that Newcastle are having a mental block at the moment, and Brighton can take advantage of it. So those of you who have Pascal Gross, I don't know if you do, or Welbeck, well to hold on to them because I think they will do well against Newcastle. The Arsenal Fulham is, for me, it's huge. It could be a game that could, if Arsenal drop points against Fulham, that's it. Yeah, and because after that, it gets easier for Arsenal, easier teams. West Ham and Burnley as well, to go, and then Palace, who may be distracted by Europe as well. So this is a huge match, and when we wake up on Sunday, then we get to find out what's going on because City will play the last game. Yeah. So and if Arsenal win, then City are back under pressure because they'll be down by 6 points. They'll have 6 points to catch up, given that they also have a game in hand. Yeah. So it's very important that Arsenal win this one, and because it's very important, it makes it hard for me to want to invest in their attack, and which is further on theory because they'll play to secure the win, and the idea of securing the win is to hold out and not concede goals, and try to find that early goal. So it's too dangerous for me to pick up any Arsenal attackers for this. Manchester United versus Liverpool. We haven't really talked about that one, right? There's a lot of talk about how in the last game Bruno seemed to be trying just to assist, just to because is the assist record in his head at the moment. Yeah, and he's not, when there was a position where he could try to go for goal, he chose to pass instead. So whether that theory is true, I'm not going to test it, of course, and I doubt you all would want to bench Bruno. You'll still play him. It's just a case of whether you captain him. Yeah, and after what happened last week is enough to put a lot of people off him as captaincy. Haaland coming back as the more popular pick, given that he has now scored in the past 2 games. But coming back to United Liverpool, that's a very interesting game. Do you have any Liverpool players? No, right?
No, on my normal team lah. Okay, because I'm free last week, right?
Yeah.
And I have only one United player. But I think we just pop up this from Rakyat FPL, Bruno or Haaland for captaincy, and this will be an interesting one this week. I think both has very reason to be captain for this game week. But City will play away to Everton, which on paper could be tougher. But United Liverpool can anything can happen because this is a rivalry, right? So they can be a heated game, or it could be like one game where United are dominant at home, right?
It's the Merseyside opponents, Liverpool and Everton, playing against the title challengers. It's an interesting week. I like it. I like how it looks up. And Brentford's West Ham, because West Ham are desperate to survive. But Brentford are still fighting to see who can get some into Europe. So another good match. Lots of good matches to watch.
So I think we also need to touch on Villa Spurs, right? Because they also playing something. Villa playing for that, like almost that championship, but Spurs are fighting for their life. So that also be an important game for both teams.
I think for this one, I think Emery is going to demand a response from Villa. I think he's not happy with how they capitulated last week, and given Spurs, the situation of Spurs and their squad, I think this is a nice Villa win.
Right, good stuff, So anything else to touch? I think we can go to our team selection after this.
Yeah, let's go to our teams.
Right. So my team first. I have 3 transfer available. No money in the bank. Wow. No money in the bank. And currently captaining Bruno. Okay. So this is my team. I play Dalot over Verbruggen because they are playing at home. I have Senesi and Hill because Crystal Palace are in the mix of Conference League matches, right? And I just realized Palace is actually playing Shakhtar Donetsk. It's not an easy opponent. We know history of Shakhtar. They are champion of Ukraine League and so on. I think at one point they even
playing away.
Yeah, so even I think Shakhtar won some trophy, right? If I'm right. So, but Shakhtar it's not an easy meet that I can see. They're playing Crystal Palace, and then they're playing away, and we are not sure. Result will know tonight. If they say they are falling behind, they need results at home. They might actually rotate heavily and just play second fiddle against Bournemouth, who I believe where Bournemouth will take advantage. So Senesi in Hill, O'Reilly and Strach because that double up in Leeds United defense playing Burnley. I have Palmer, Tavernier, Semenyo and Bruno Fernandes and João Pedro and Haaland. So 4-4-2. But I won't rule out on my bench because I have Enzo as my first sub. Then I have Welbeck and Van Heck, which Azmin did mention that Newcastle are not really on form. Could Welbeck coming into my team? He could easily get into my team and just drop one of those defense. So, but I'm still not sure about that Chelsea asset, I'm still thinking to roll transfer, not doing anything, and tackle my team in 36 when Crystal Palace and City double, and see whether there is any big news or how Chelsea perform against Forest, which can be an indication moving forward. So at this juncture, this is my team. I think I'm captaining Bruno over Haaland. That's my thinking.
Yeah, rolling looks good. Okay, I guess for your team. It's hard. I mean, I don't like Palmer, and I have him as well. That's fine. It's a bigger problem. But anyway, let's see. I mean, just looking at your team, because you were one of those who had the daringness to bring in Enzo. Unfortunately, he scored in the wrong tournament. So, I'm sorry, I had to put that in there. But you know, I think Welbeck should play. I think.
Okay, faham.
But who to bench is the problem.
I guess I'll bench one of the Bournemouth defense.
Yeah, one of the Bournemouth defense, because then it comes you spreading the risk a bit. I guess you could argue that. I don't. Yeah, rolling is actually not bad. Wow, at this stage you got 3 transfers, still want to roll. Well done. I'm impressed.
Dia boleh macam ni, roll, or you invest these 3 transfer and getting all those Arsenal player, which I'm not too sure whether I want to go in now. I'm not too sure.
The Arsenal players, can? Oh, because you don't have a single Arsenal player.
Yeah, I don't have Gabriel. I don't have anyone. So if there is a reason, if let's say you invest the Arsenal now, you need nice entry point at home against Fulham. The next 4 game weeks you need the Arsenal players, so you just get Raya, get Gabriel, get Rice. If you're thinking they are the best 3 teams or double defense or triple defense, but I'm not too sure because this team it's not bad, right?
Yeah, it's not bad at all. There's just not enough to push you into, there's still, because all the, you got triple against Crystal Palace, who maybe theoretically could be disconnected from Europe. Then you got Burnley, who's just
and can I put also inside that context, Forest also will be in the mix against Villa, right?
Yeah,
they might play second fiddle.
So the question with, because again Palace and for you don't have Villa, so now it's basically Forest and Crystal Palace, both in semi-finals. Are they both distracted? Because if you think they are, then this is the team to have.
Yep. So I'll think about that over the week, which is not that far, which is tomorrow the deadline. Welbeck could come in for Hill or Senesi. That's can be an option. If let's say Palmer are not fit, still not sure, but I could easily play Enzo and then just bench Palmer and deal with him next week. So I think it's still fine. Let's go to your team, Min.
Right. Okay. So 0 in the bank, but just like you. But unfortunately, I have only 1 transfer. Okay. So I'm actually tempted to roll as well. I'm pretty happy with my team. Just a question of Okafor. There's a calf complaint. There's a doubt, and I'm tempted to leave him in, and thinking that if he'll either play or he won't. Because if he's injured, then most likely he won't be on the bench. So I'm tempted to leave him, and if he does disappear, then KDH will come in anyway. So I love the guy, not an issue. So the thing is, I had to move my captaincy because previously I had my captaincy on Okafor, and I think that because against Burnley, home to Burnley, Leeds fighting to secure their place in the Premier League. So now that Okafor is not safe candidate, so I'm thinking about Thiago actually. It's just they are playing against a relegation threatened team, but then West Ham are fighting, and their defensive, defensively they have been much better recently. But I just don't see Haaland being explosive enough against Everton.
Okay.
I'm looking for an explosion. I need an explosion.
Fair. So I just read out your team: Kelleher, Senesi, Gabriel, and Gehi. Oh, you have Gehi. Wow. All right. But you have Gabriel, Bruno Fernandes, Palmer, Semenyo, and Okafor, and you will leave him. I think that tomorrow team news will be an interesting one, an important one. Thiago, Halle, and Welbeck, KDH, Konza, Anderson on your bench, and Dubravka, right? Okay. So I guess your team is fine, man. And if let's say tomorrow, the Chelsea manager mentioned Palmer gonna be late test, or is there some doubt? What do you think? What would you do?
Who's having a doubt?
Palmer.
I'll sell him for Eze. That's what I'll do. Yeah. Because for Okafor, I don't mind risking him. He's cheap, like the budgie, but Palmer a lot more money. I think I prefer to spend on someone who's more secure. I should tell you that I have been pondering whether to do that sideways swap we were talking about, Semenyo to Turkey. So that's in the back of my head. Let's see how I feel tomorrow night.
Great. I think, and Min, you left with one chip, which is triple captain, and it will happen next week, right?
Yeah. The triple captaincy will most likely be at the GameWeek36.
Yep.
TC on Haaland.
Which is, we will discuss next week. All right. That is our team. Let's take some questions before we wrap up, or we just take a look at the FPL Jedi League. Number 1 right now is Budu FC. He's a Manchester United fan. He scored 55 points last week, and at number 1 right now. And his team is, I think this is his free hit team. He has Raya, 10 points there. Virgil, Mavropanos, 4 points each, and Gabriel, 8 points. Bruno Fernandes, everyone captain him. Mo Salah, Xavi, 3 points. So Boslai, yeah? Is that 2 points or 1 point? I think he's yellow carded, right? Yeah. And Declan Rice, 2. Watkins and Bowen, pretty template. That's what I say. He doesn't have Poro, but Mavropanos still okay at getting that 4 points. And yes, right. So that is his team, Budu FC. At number 2, 1, 2, 3, go. 58 points. I dropped to 3rd place because I scored only 49 points. No Raya. 4th as 11 Yara Spartans at 4th place. Red FC 5th. For FPL Joe Champion at 6th. Moved by Sony FC 7. Kijang Merah 8th. Beta drop to 9. And Paya Soto. I think this is the first time he's in the top 10. Probably. So this is how the FPL Jedi League currently made.
Yeah, it's getting tight. Hafiz, you dropped a bit. So can you keep up the fight? So let's see. I don't know in terms of the chips. Whether anyone else has any chips. Yeah, but at the moment I'm just sorry because I can't see, it's so small. but it's really close, between all you top 10s. It's not that far away.
I think that 5 points, 8 points away. It's all.
Yeah, between the five of you is very the gap. So no. Good luck to everyone up there.
All right, Rakan FPL, FPL HP, and also Vendor, they post question like Thiago captaincy. Azmin are going to do that, Rakan FPL. I don't think anybody going to do that. This could be a big differential pick. And at home, Thiago, despite West Ham fighting for their life, he can go big. So I think he's can be a great option.
I'm coming off a Thiago captaincy blank, so but I still like the idea.
Good stuff. Florian Wirtz without Salah is goal right now. Means that without Salah, Wirtz will be the key man, probably.
Yeah, it's just that I don't know. Yeah, I mean the thing is Salah is. I'm not sure. I think we're still waiting on news on Salah, and but it looks like he may not play. and you need someone to step up. And I don't think the man is to step up with words. I think it could be Isaac. And I think Isaac also gets the penalties. The problem is, do you have space in the forward line? You may not have space. So in the end, if you can't realize it, I think Wiz is a decent pick, but I still like Zoboslai better in that midfield.
Hi folks, FPL Hippie. Hi. Rakan FPL question: play Heels over at home against Crystal Palace or O'Reilly? Oh, it's going to be a tough one. Like my team, I'll play both, but if let's say you have only one option, I guess O'Reilly.
Yeah, O'Reilly, because just the attacking threat. There's a lot of theory that arguably he's now the best attacking defender, you know, above the likes of Munoz. So yeah.
FPL DP, my top FPL tip in game week 1, choose 6 players in the first kickoff and captain one day. For sure, you will be the number one, at least for a few minutes. Enjoy your best rank. Okay, fine. That can be a great tip to have some fun at the early and be number one. Full free transfer, Senesi to Gabriel. I think if you have the money, you do it. But
yeah,
Senesi
do it.
Excellent match, right?
Do it. Yeah, I think Gabriel is
the
best.
If, let's say, I don't know whether I'm doing wrongly or not, but if let's say not having Gabriel and the tiba-tiba they score and get 15 points, I will be crying. That's for sure. All right. Vendor, where are you streaming from? We are from Malaysia, man. And we are at home in KL. Yeah. All right. We already take some answered all those questions. In your last word.
Wait for Europe again. And I would avoid Crystal Palace players for this week. That's it.
All right. We already know the lay of the land. Good luck to everyone in whatever decision you're going to make this week, whether you're wildcarding or activating any chip. Good luck and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Until then, see you. Bye-bye.